Y'all gotta trust me when I tell you I did not want to film on the squeaky chair again, but I forgot that my bed is ridiculously huge, and so my tripod doesn't go high enough to be able to get my face if I'm sitting on my bed. So I'm on the squeaky chair again, and my bed's just in the background. Hello everyone, welcome back to Wow Mel. It's been a bit of a minute. I honestly just fell behind because life. Today I'm bringing you part 2 of my bite-sized cosplay story times. These are inspired by Anya Panda's funny stories behind my cosplay photos, videos, so I'll link that in the description. I have my own little spin on it, but the gist is the same. Basically, I'll be telling you little funny stories or just interesting facts and moments that go along with my cosplay photo shoots, but they'll only take a couple minutes to tell, so they're not long enough to warrant their own storytime video. I prepared like 8-ish. The first one I have is Chihaya from Persona 5. We actually used a Persona 5 tarot deck for it. I think they have like an official one now, but before that one came out, we used a fan-made one. My sister reads tarot, so she had it on hand, and she also had Himalayan salt, so we could use that for her like holy... I forget what she called it in the game. I think it was a holy stone. Now, I actually like Chihaya, but you can tell the people who wrote her weren't practicing tarot readers or like witches, like the classic, oh, you pulled death, someone's gonna die kind of vibe going on, which is not like what the death card usually means. And Chihaya's whole thing was that she seemed, oh my gosh, like how could you defy fate like this? Fate is absolute, like this doesn't make any sense. But like the basic premise that most witches and tarot readers know is that you always have free will and you can always change anything, so whatever you read isn't set in stone. That's kind of the beauty of it. I'm going on a tangent now. I guess that doesn't really have to do with the photo shoot too much, but it was kind of fun to be able to cosplay a fortune teller because I also read tarot and I read runes. So it's fun to intermix those things, and we had the perfect stuff on hand. Continuing on with my Zelda shoot, we actually took these photos in a couple different places. One of the places I was cosplaying Zelda was in like a town square, and this dude approached me and was like, like, what are you dressed as? Like, why are you an elf? It was actually these two guys, but one was primarily talking to me. He actually approached us multiple times, and we like moved to take photos somewhere, and then they would like come nearby. They were always like close, but not like following us directly, that it seemed obvious that they were following us. So I'm not sure if they were. You know, the town square isn't that big, so I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And he never said anything wrong necessarily, but I've developed now a little better after cosplaying in public when people just give weird vibes and you're just like, I don't know about these interactions. They just like wouldn't stop talking to us. Like every time we moved, we'd like run into them again and they'd like ask more questions. But the good news is there was someone else who we ran into who seemed to recognize my cosplay. Zelda's more recognizable than some other ones. And they said they liked my cosplay, so that was awesome. I also brought my ocarina to that shoot, and I do play the ocarina. I'm not super good at it. I guess I should say I'm learning the ocarina. It was also fun to be able to bust that out. The takeaway from that story is just, again, always make sure you're taking someone with you when you're cosplaying in public, because you never know. Like, Bianca was with me, so I wasn't too worried, but like if I was alone, the vibes were off. They were off. Following up with that is like another seeing people while I'm in cosplay story is Pop It. It was actually the same day. It's tradition for me to buy Bianca dinner after we take photos together because she is extremely generous and takes a bunch of photos, quite literally saving me from all these years and all the photo shoots probably thousands of dollars. So I usually buy her dinner as a little thank you. So we went to go get Chinese food. We were there in this Chinese restaurant. I'm in my cosplay. I look like a haunted doll in my like very creepy makeup and my little like Lolita dress, and we're just there and we're like, hi, pick up for Bianca. We got the sweet and sour pork. It was great. The lady was really chill about it. She like looked at me like she visually seemed to acknowledge, in her eyes at least, that there was something off about me, but she was chill with it. She seemed to like enjoy it, if anything. She was like smiling at me. It's actually surprising, despite the occasional weird instances I have, how kind people are to me when I'm in cosplay. Vast majority of people just ignore me, but most of my interactions are positive. I hope I was able to spice up that lady shift a little bit. So my dev photos, she gave me a hard time. We were originally intending to take photos in our town square. There's a bunch of businesses there, but there's an actual like baby park in the middle. But when we got there were like a lot of people. Sometimes there are like farmers markets there, so we're like, oh, maybe we caught it on like a farmers market day, because it's usually like empty. We'll maybe pass like 2 people in the square max. So we're like, ooh, well, that's weird. We decided to go to a nearby park because it has some really pretty trees. That's where I did my over the garden wall shoot, and that place was also filled with people, and we were like, what's going on? And we quickly realized that our town was actually having like a week-long baby festival, literally designed to encourage residents to leave their homes and go out into the community and see the businesses and the parks and like get real involved. So people were just everywhere. And my outfit was a little on the spicier side, and I also had a dagger. It was incredibly dull. I have a slight fear of sharp objects, and I'm totally fine with that dagger. You don't want me walking out in public with lots of kids in like a spicy outfit holding a dagger. So we went to Bianca's neighborhood because it's in like a slightly different area, and her community has like a clubhouse with nice grass and a pond and a dock. So we went there, and there was a kid throwing a birthday party, and I'm out here again in my spicy outfit with my dagger, and there's just children, like 9-year-olds running around. So that shoot, Bianca and I actually just took the L, and we just got coffee and went home. I was super disappointed, especially because Dove's makeup, it's not like difficult, but especially at the time, I was really going outside of my comfort zone and like working hard on it. And I was all ready and done up, and we got no photos that day. We did eventually get them. We just went straight to her clubhouse because they had some nice like backgrounds. And I really liked the photo we got on a windy day, so it looks nice, but that was super disappointing. Kind of in a similar vein, I call it casual futaba because everyone has like their school uniforms Persona 5, but Futaba has just like her casual outfit because she doesn't go to school with them. So we took those photos at our local dying mall, which unfortunately has died at this point and is closed. During that time though, it was merely dying, and it had this baby arcade. It was so small, there wasn't anyone like running it. There weren't any like tokens or anything. There were no employees. There was no prize counters. You just went and paid real money and could just play until you didn't want to play anymore. It is normally quite empty in there. So I was like, perfect place. Arcade machines, and we can take a bunch of photos because no one's gonna be there. We came on a Saturday, which granted is like the busiest day for the mall, but again, it's still dying mall. And people just kept like being in the way, which, you know, me going to a public place complaining about people in the way is kind of like, girl, get a grip. But like when I tell you, people did not go to that arcade, and then we were there and just families and friend groups kept going. It was not a big arcade, so people kept like getting in the way for photos, and no one like approached us or were like, what are you doing? But you know, people kept staring, and then we'd leave and like go shop a little bit and come back to see if it was emptier, and people were like still there. We managed to, after a while, like get enough angles and times where people moved a little bit so I could get photos without them in it. But when I tell you, I was shocked. When I wrote these like bullet points for this video a while ago, the mall was still alive, and I was like, you know, I am happy that people came to use the mall and the arcade because it's normally really dead and it makes me sad. Now the mall is gone, so evidently that day did not save it. Okay, I'm starting to wrap up with the stories here, so I want to touch on my Kasumi photo shoot for a bit. We went to our classic photo shoot spot, which is the town square of a nearby town, because the people there are just like friendly, and since it's a nearby town and not technically mine, I'm probably not that likely to run into people I know. I talk about it in some of my vlogs. There's this game store that we usually go in because we play D&D. And we like to look at the minis and the books, and I got Monster of the Week there, and it's a good time. And one time I came in there cosplaying. I think I was cosplaying Haru's like school uniform, and the employee was like, "Oh, I love Haru, she's best girl, are you like a cosplayer?" And we're like, "Yeah, we take cosplay photos around here." And he was like, "Oh, that's super awesome." And so I came back again as Kasumi specifically to see him, and he luckily was working that day, and he was like, "Oh, do you just always do like Persona 5 cosplays?" And so we had like a very brief conversation about me like cosplaying in Persona 5 and all that, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing all the like female confidants in the game." And he was like, "Oh, cool, cool." I always go back to that store whenever we cosplay there in the hopes that I run into him, because he's super nice about it. So that leads into the next one. That was like the intro, was like my Kasumi Haru interactions with him. But I did learn through that, and this links up with my noir photo shoot, who's still Haru technically, but like her Phantom Thief form. I knew that his favorite Phantom Thief, because he told me, was Haru. So I was like, heck yeah, I'm in my noir outfit, gotta go see my buddy over at the game store. So we took photos and went to the game store, and this was like the first time my homeboy was not there. I was like really looking forward to it to see him and be like, "Yeah, I'm in Haru," you know, and have a brief conversation as we do. But no, he was not there. So I felt a little bit deflated, especially because, you know, I don't really retake photo shoots very often unless I drastically improve a cosplay. So I was like, "Ah, beans, he's probably just not going to see my noir cosplay. Womp womp." But then after that, we went to a couple stores down. There is a chocolate and coffee shop, and so we went in there to get some coffee, as we do. And then the cashier there, completely different man, was like, "Are you cosplaying Haru from Persona 5? And I was like, "Hey, yo," instantly brightened me up. I get so happy when people recognize my cosplay. I mean, a lot of people enjoy seeing me in cosplay, but when they recognize who I am, I'm like, "Oh yeah." I don't know. Does anyone feel me? If you're a cosplayer who cosplays in public, let me know if you feel me. I don't know how to describe it. So I was super excited, and my sister was also cosplaying with me. She was cosplaying Toma from Genshin Impact, and the cashier was like, "Oh, like, I don't fully recognize who you are, but you're from Genshin Impact, right?" And Amber was like, "Yeah." So even though we didn't get to see our normal guy at the game store who recognizes us, we went to the coffee shop, and the cashier recognized both of us to some extent. So that was super cool. He was super nice as well. I go in a lot of businesses there because they have like a bookstore I like, they have an anime store, they have a delicious coffee shop, they have a game store, they have like a metaphysical store. Like, that's my jam. So we go in those stores all the time when I cosplay down there. And I've spoken to a lot of the employees who one way or another have kind of like asked about me, and they're all super cool and super nice when I say like, "Yeah, I'm a local cosplayer, so we take photos here." They're like, "Yeah, it's a beautiful area." I don't know, I just really look forward to those interactions, and I was happy that my parade was not rained on. I guess the only other side piece of this story is during that noir photo shoot, it was heckin' windy, and I was wearing her hat, which is a very thin, flimsy, honestly not very well made hat. While we were taking photos, my hat flew off into the road, and a car ran it over. The way I was freaking out, partially because the cosplay, the noir cosplay, is one that me and my older sister share. We both paid for half of it, we both wear it. And so I was like, "Oh my god, a car just ran over part of my cosplay that isn't even fully mine." I was so worried about it being destroyed, but by some miracle, I think it didn't go under the tire. It was just under the car when the car went over. Or if it was under the tire, it just like freaking tanked it because it was intact. Like, it looked fine. I just like de-squashed it and put it back on. But my heart stopped for a moment there. We might go into a little more detail if you want to check out next my behind the scenes of the noir photoshoot vlog. It has more of our, like, not quite live reactions, but like just after it happened reactions, if you want to check that out, because this brings us to the end of my bite-sized cosplay story times part 2. I do have almost enough for a part 3, so eventually, not too far from the future, I'll probably come at you with my 3rd installment. If you have any fun baby cosplay story times to share, even if they're long, feel free to tell me in the comments below. I always look forward to reading your comments, and I'm so excited when people chat to me down there. Thank you so much for watching, my precious everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!